I'm going to simplify this building process. I think it's probably too much to have so many multiple materials, because in the end, when you're done, you have all these different layers here. And if I just solo this one here, every one I select is, different material, and it ends up being a lot of individual files when you go to export them. So one more time, so if you watch the other video, maybe this will get a little more simple, because I don't want to have this many materials for every single part of the building. So I'm going to use masking this time, and hopefully that will simplify the process. So let me go over to Chris's building here, and I just replaced everything on this building. I simplified it down to one single standard material here. If I go to the inputs in that one, there's a standard material shading group called Building Standard SG. And that shading group is going to be what's going to be showing up inside of Painter here. These SG nodes are the shader group nodes you see here. So just one shader group makes things a lot more simple. I just use an AI standard material because we're going to end up rendering this thing in Arnold. I've also dropped this thing into Houdini just for kind of a side deal, because I'm getting these clouds in Houdini for free because I'm using the Sky Rig instead of Houdini. It takes a little bit of tweaking, but you really get some great results when you use this. And here's the viewport version of that. Well, and the render is actually the most important part of it. So let's switch back over to Maya, and this is the file I'm going to be exploring. I want to make sure that the UVs are all set up. I think this one is probably one I didn't reevaluate the UVs. Let me go ahead and do that. Open up the UV editor. That mount to render does take a little bit of time, and it's some processor power, so I apologize if it's running a little bit slow today. But this is a great workflow for putting anything you want to inside of Painter, which you can get for free, by the way. Please explore that, what it has to offer for students. Algorithmic is the website. Check it out. Okay, so I'm going to definitely UV map this one. I'm just going to do an automatic UV map, and that's good enough. It's going to be fine for what we're doing here. Cool, great, perfect. Back to object mode. Come on. Weirdest time with this. There we go. Object mode, there we go. So file export selection, simple OBJ export. I'll put it in inside of my models folder. And blended building, painter example, OBJ, called painter example 2. Hopefully I'll remember what that meant at the time. And back over here into Painter, just make a new file. I'll go ahead and discard what I have here, although it's nice. We did this inside of our class today, yesterday. I'm going to template PBR Metal Rough. That's a good template to use. I'm going to select the mesh and London for Painter example 2. Open that up. I have no normal maps to add into there. Document resolution 1024 is fine for this. These things are going to be kind of off in the distance. Let's go to the shelf here. Wait for the model to load up. Didn't seem to be anything there. Hold on, let me try it one more time. Open that up. Let's try OpenGL. Pause this while it works. All right, just one little thing I had to do before it actually worked. I had to do a mesh cleanup. Under mesh cleanup, there, I just filtered out lambda, faces, non-manifold geometry. It triangulated everything, but that's okay. I think it's going to work. We have one building standard clear. And there's the UV maps. I can kind of pull that off to one side, go to my shelf, and begin adding materials. Now I'm a member of a very, very exclusive group of people who go to Substance Painter and pay money every month to get their content, their substance source content. And I get physically based materials. So I go to Substance Source, I log in with my login, and I have access to all this material, pebbles and rust, and it's all defined by different materials, different categories, gray mountain, limestone, all these things. And I've downloaded this SBSAR files, and I'm loading them into here. So I have a bit of an advantage, but if you call today, you'll have that same advantage. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mask out different geometry. I can actually mask out this object and these objects, which are separated, and paint just on those areas. Right now, if I just paint, I'm painting across the entire thing, which is going to be hard to separate out these different parts. That's what these the other files where I have different material sets really comes in handy. But this, when I export this out, it will come out as one material set, which is kind of an advantage and a disadvantage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mask out, using the mask tools, the different areas. So I'm going to mask out this the main area here, and then I'm going to go in and mask out these windows and apply materials separately to each part. So let me start off by doing the masking portion. Alright, so let me just undo what I did here. I'm going to do a little experimentation. First thing you want to do is bake the textures for these maps. So click on Bake Textures under the texture set settings, and just make sure you bake those textures right there. But that way you get ambient occlusion areas, and those things you can use inside of the masking. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to our shelf, to materials, and I downloaded this stone wall material. If I drag the stone wall material up onto, stone wall, up onto the layers here, right on top of that, layer 1. And the whole thing just will apply to everything, and that's obviously way too much going on there. Just way too busy. Pretty ugly, but we can at least go in and adjust some of these the parameters. Click on this little material node here. Regular. Let me just get the. Some of these materials, they don't have the options that I would like to see in the row. I'm going to use this for a portion of the wall anyway. Let me go to another one that's a little more what I'm used to. Here's one called Reynolds Homestead Natural. Let's drag that on top of that one there. I'll turn off the stones regular here. Okay, so this has this has basic parameters, so I can at least play around with the roughness value on that. Base color, UV scale. So we can play with the UV scale a little bit. There we go. A little tighter. Let's switch to UV rotation to. Let's keep it to 0, I guess. There's some tiling going on, but that's okay. We're going to kind of utilize that. I'm going to take this mortar wall, apply that on top of that one. That looks like. And I'm going to blend these materials together too. So we have mortar wall at 50% or 31%. Homestead Natural at 100. And I'm going to go with. Takes a second for it to upload. Let's see, stone wall. Concrete. Yeah, here's a nice concrete rough material there.
Hey Chris, how are you, sir?
Awesome. All right, so you can layer these things up like I said before. Let's pull out the concrete smooth up there on top. Just gonna get rid of some of these other ones that are setting the stone wall irregular. It's not what I'm looking for. Let's start with the concrete smooth, something kind of soft and sort of even colored as a base. Then I'll take that other stone wall, put that on top of that, bring down the UV scale, or bring it up actually. Height mapping is a little bit intense, so I'm going to try to pull out the height mapping a little bit more. If I take this blending and pull it back a little bit, it may help. There we go. The height map is too much, but the normal map seems to be fine. I use a normal map instead of the height map. And I'm going to put a mask on top of this guy. So add a black mask. So black masks out everything. And paint with white on this mask. You just right click and add a paint generator to that. You can go ahead and paint on this. Right around the corners is what I usually like to do with these guys, because they tend to put the heavy stones in the corner and stuck all this stuff in the middle. That, if you hold the control key down and right mouse drag, you can make the brush larger or smaller. Gotta be careful because your brush does kind of want to go back toward the edges there, so just go back to black mask and control right click and paint those guys out there like that. A little irregularity is nice. I wouldn't worry too much about having a lot of irregularity. And good. We'll go back to the material level and just sort of see the concrete smooth. I'm going to go to technical parameters for this guy and just increase the height position, the underlying level. Okay. Play with the height range a little bit. Kick back on the saturation for that guy and go. Just the height position relative to the one above it. That's okay. We'll just sometimes different materials have different height positions. If I turn this height back on, I'd be able to get that height position there, but it's just too extreme, so I don't have a way to really kick that back. It might be okay. From a distance, it might settle out to be all right. All right, we'll keep going. Just paint the other corner here. Just going up the edge. And just that little bit right there, just that variety, a little bit larger chunk down at the base here, will give it a lot more believability. And again, we're looking for distance effects in the distance. This is not going to be hugely visible. It's these things are way off in the distance, so don't feel too much like you have to fuss these things a lot, but a A little bit here and there really goes a long way. So it needs to look good from like right about there. All right. Let's keep adding new stuff. I think it's good for right now. We'll play with it a little bit later. I'm gonna do another material. I'm gonna put a flagstone. Let's see. There's a slate mossy or slate diamond. Put slate mossy on top of the whole kit and caboodle here. What about there? We'll mask that out again with another black mask. Before we do it, let's just change the UV scale. And based on the rotations I'm looking at here, let's go rotation of 90. Let's go negative 90, which is 270. That's pretty good. We'll put a black mask, so we've masked out everything but that. And we'll add a paint effect generator, and we'll paint with white. Paint that, mask that back in. So wherever we need those slates, again, control right mouse button to make that brush bigger. The alpha, let's change the alpha here from that really soft shape to a more specific shape. Go a bit sharper shape. And this guy's back there. And you can hold the shift key down. If you hold the shift key down, you can kind of snap like that. And I'm going to pull this UV window way over to the side. I'm going to hold paint right here. Hold the shift key down. I can shift drag across there horizontally, which is cool. Just like Photoshop, you just kind of click, holding the shift key down, just click and drag. Again, from the distance, it's going to look okay. So don't worry too much about being too fussy here. Kind of be careful, you know, just shift click, shift click, shift click. It's going to be just having straight up plain old plain Jane textures, trust me. So anything you can do to make this seem a little more realistic, the better. Just holding shift key down and clicking and clicking. Look up here. That dormer's not quite right, but that's okay. We'll hide the rest in there. And these are probably the same materials here, so let's go ahead and make the top dormer section those guys as well. Now do the fuzzy stuff, hold control key down and make the brush size a lot smaller. So you can see the automatic UV mapping is fine. You don't have to have really nice UV layouts. Not necessarily, depending on what you're using. If you want to put this in Photoshop, of course, you really want to do the nice UVs. But for what we're doing here, this is just fine. Let's fix that up a little bit more. Cool. All right. Seems okay. And just look for any object, any part of this model that requires this texture, and just go ahead and paint that in. And we turn off go back to black here and just paint out this area here. Be kind of overbrushed. Back to white and paint the top edge there. Front edge there. Cool. Now for glass, it's probably going to be something like a simple reflective surface, so we're not going to really worry about what's inside of these things. So I'm thinking kind of a dark aluminum material. So we can grab this guy and just drag it up to in the front of everything, and just pull the roughness down to 0, and take this out. Turn on the height here. I want to smooth this whole thing out, but it's picking up the bumps underneath it. So I can turn on normal here and just unify the normal if at all possible. Okay, I'm just going to take that away and see if I can find another material I can put on top of that. I could take this one of these other materials, pop it underneath the concrete. In this concrete we can mask out, yeah, this will work out. If I just do a white mask on this one, and paint where I want the glass to be underneath it. Of course I have to add a paint generator, and paint in here with a black. There we go. So we can see the smooth glass underneath. And the height for the concrete is a little bit intense. I'm going to go to the concrete layer here and pull the height range position down a little bit. There we go. It has an effect on the underlying material. Go back to the mask for that and click and shift click all the way around. You can go maybe a little bit more aggressively outside those edges, because we're going to make this outside frame a different material as well. So this is the more time-consuming portion of the job, but having those shift keys, the shift clicking does help a lot. And I believe you can actually even polygon fill. Oops. Undo that. I'm actually going to, with black, polygon fill that. There we go. So click on the polygons to fill those guys. Oh, that's much better. That makes the job a lot quicker. You can keep your stuff quads. I had to triangulate this object just to get it to work. To get to import. Cool. Fill that one. For some reason those corners aren't quite grabbing, so what the deal is there. Great. I'm going to put another layer on top of this one, which is just going to be a simple white material. So just a white, plain old plastic. Yeah, plastic. Here we go. So put plastic on top of the concrete, and we'll black mask that out. And we'll put a paint layer on top of that. Use the polygon fill method again, and I'm just going to paint this time with white. Mask those guys. I'm keeping it blue right now just because it's easier for me to see what's going on. Alright, so I'm going to go through here and just do this. I'm going to stop the video because it's going to take me a little while for this to occur, and you'll see the final results. Now, you can range select some of these faces, but realize when you do this, you're range selecting the back faces as well. So whatever's behind there, you're gonna accidentally grab those as well. So be careful. If you do it, just undo real quick and kind of fix those out. So I can go like this and get all those guys. I could have done this with a roof, and if I'd practiced this a little bit more, I probably would have. But you know, I'm kind of just learning substance as I go as well. So Just so you know, just this is a learning experience for everybody, including me. It's kind of brand new software, fairly new. Well, it's used by one of our partners and employers called NetherRealm Studios, and they recommended we teach this software, and I'm fully on board. Okay, now I range selected all the ones in back, so you'll see there's a lot of stuff back there, but that's okay. We can go back in and clean all that up. We can just go back in, turn this, go back to paint mode, and with this brush, we can just go hold the, make a huge wide brush here and just get rid of all that stuff I just grabbed and selected for now. Just kill all that. Back to the fill by polygon brush, and we'll finish up here. Actually, a faster way of doing this would be to make this black. Have the color in the fill mode, fill polygon, just go to black and grab the polygons that you just accidentally grabbed before, and just deselect them that way too. So that's easily done. For some reason these aren't deselecting, so that's not that big of a deal. I'm going to keep those facing away from the scene anyway. So again, any faces here, just deselect them like that. Often just turn the camera so you're not grabbing polygons behind the scene like this. I'm not going to grab anything that I don't intend to. Like that. If I look down like this, I'm not going to grab anything below that, which is fine. So, but if you do grab something extra, just again, go back to black and just re-grab them the other way. Now, be aware I just deselected. I undid from the back there. I just grabbed all those polygons and undid this, so I should have been a little more careful with this guy. Do that a few more times. Redo one more time. Control Y is opposite of Control Z. To black. Maybe just better to kind of click on these guys instead of range selecting, because you can inadvertently, unless you're facing down like this, click on something you don't want to. Okay, cool. That's better. So it takes some little getting used to. I found also that grabbing these corners, just like by grabbing right there and just range selecting like that, also does a pretty nice job. But again, you're going to inadvertently grab some stuff behind. So go back to black and just click on those guys. So these guys are not clicking away. No matter what I do, they won't mask. I can't unmask them. It might just be the fact that these, like this concrete smooth here, that might require me to fill those up with an overlay color, but so once you start getting into this masking business, and it could end up becoming kind of confusing, but you can see how fast you can get results you're looking for. So again, if you want to change this door detail, some of this stuff change back into something else, just go back and to the plastic matte color and make those black, or paint those in, whichever way works out best for you. A little more contrast here between different elements. So kind of redeciding how the detail I want. definitely a huge time saver while you're working. Those are white still. Cool. All right. We'll stop here. It's about a half hour of me just kind of poking around at this thing, but I think that's about the amount of time you should spend. Much more than this, it's going to be kind of useless or a waste of time, because this is going to be perfectly fine. You don't need to go into much more detail than this. Okay, I'm going to go make that slate mossy part here. These top roof sections slate. So again, I'm going back to the slate layer, painting with white on top of the mask. These areas were masked out before, showing the underlying materials. And now that slate's going to show back up. Add a little more detail here, some edge detail. All right. Cool. That's pretty exciting. This is a new tool for a lot of us, so even among us old timers, this is sort of nice to see how much more efficient and easy these kind of painting techniques are become. So hope you like that. Hope that was useful. I know it was for me. Geez, makes this a lot more fun to get something pretty nice. All right, cool. Stop here.